Good morning. Today, 27th July 2024, we are going to discuss editorials of The Hindu. First article here, children personal data legally and securely how to use. This article about children education and education system. We will discuss this article in detail. This is about BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal initiative. So this article recently one meeting had happened related to foreign ministers. We'll discuss this article in detail. What is its significance for India also? It is about the fiscal federalism. So we'll discuss this article also. This article is about Palestine and Israel conflict. So several times it is in news. So we won't discuss same facts. Repeated facts has been discussed. So this article here it is about ground zero. It talks about local realities. This is not important for us, so we are not going to discuss this article. Apart from this, we'll discuss one article related to budget, Viksit Bharat 2047. So what are all the measures the government need to take in order to become developed nation by 2047? Beautifully written. It is from Indian Express. We'll discuss that article too. Let's see today's quote. Our cultural diversity has most certainly shaped our national character. If you see, this is our India. Oh, India, if you see, there are 29 states are there, almost 9 UTs are there. So, in all of them, each and everyone speak different languages. They have their own culture. But however, we are diverse, but we live with unity. The unity is called Indian Union. We all are part of India. So, our cultural choices such as secularism, democracy, all are part of our cultural diversity. So this certainly shaped our national character. Today we emerged India as India and we call it as Bharat. This you can use in essays anywhere. This next first article here it is about children education, how to use their data securely. The Indian school system is one of the most expensive ecosystem in the world. If we see, there are 15 lakh schools, 97 lakh teachers, nearly 26.5 crore students from pre-primary to higher secondary levels. So it is a basic ecosystem and ranging from all socio-economic backgrounds. To realize objective and managing wide range of education system in sound manner, Ministry of Education conceived a platform called UDSI UDISC platform in 2018. What it does, UDISC plus it plays a crucial role in collecting, exchanging real-time information on school infrastructure, teacher enrollment, and academic performance. Suppose say one teacher is there somewhere in Kerala and he went from here to Andhra Pradesh, then it can collect the data and then it can reflect in the system. It allows the Ministry of Human Affairs to make outcome-based policies to enhance the quality education system in India, improving the process of resource allocation, monitoring the educational programs. UDISC notably utilized to map the educational trends, how education is happening, what is the school status, what is infrastructure status. All these things can be easily identified. Strengthening administration, optimizing service delivery is ultimate goal that is objectified under the UDISC. In National Education Policy 2020, Ministry also introduced automated permanent academic account registry (APAR). What it does, it is a unique identifier given to student. जैसे आधार नंबर दिया जाता है वैसे ही आधार भी आपार भी दिया जाता है. This facilitate collection of collation of academic credentials of student at one place. If student moves from one place to another place, all the data will be captured under APAR. Demographic information per user so collected includes Aadhaar information and it is based on wide voluntary consent based. There are several measures are being taken to enhance the ease of schooling under APAR and UDI SC, interlinking both of them. If we see ease of schooling means reducing the dropout rates, enhancing the opportunities for continued education, These all things falls under and automate the student admission. One student following from one school, and if he's going, then admission should happen automatically. There are some entities, DigiLocker and EdTech companies, they have frequently collaborated with state government. So they have huge modern education system infrastructure. So interlinking these two will definitely give the data to EdTech companies. DigiLocker Education Ministry formulated a data sharing policy in school and school education and literacy in 2020. However, this is yet to be updated reflecting regulatory overhauls post the enactment of DPDP Act, DPDP Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Under this act, they are yet to implement, but whatever the data they have got under UDISC and APAR scheme, so they already have copied and then they might be using for a special purposes. In the absence of clear regulations or minimum standards by central government under DPDP Act, their compliance with Act becomes a huge question. There are potential pressure points wherein non-compliance of involved actors may materialize. For example, there are limited guidance on what constitutes parent consent. See, student consent, voluntary consent is required. If he consents, then the data can be utilized. So how the consent, how it will be verified, it grossly neglects consent from parent for minors data sought under these two portal, UDISC and APAR, may violate this requirement. The DPDP Act emphasizes the importance of collecting personal data for only legitimate purpose only. Sharing children data under UDISC for purpose incremental to authorized, one could violate the statutory requirement. This is for legitimate purpose, but data can be utilized for personal purposes to enhance their business. The ministry acknowledged the benefit of sharing student at national scale, however, grossly neglected this data. Streamlining the system to manage educational research is very critical. DPDP Act sanctions specific and voluntary consent based mechanism. So these things need to be included and it is very important. In 2018, Supreme Court during a judgment case Puttaswamy retired versus Union of India gave right to privacy as a fundamental right. So during that time, they advocated a three-part test through which consent should be given for any action to be taken for any state action. So these three parts need to be taken for enhancing the privacy of citizens. The three conditions are there should exist a legitimate state interest. It should be legitimate. Restriction should be necessary and proportionate to achieve the interest. Then restriction is imposed or affected by the law. These three things should be checked by state government before ensuring the restriction. Other integration in APAR, UDISC comply with these three prongs. Data theft and cyber breaches is also one of the issue. Adherence to the principle of this data privacy and data minimization is very pertinent given the sensitive nature of children's personal data. The need for specific protocols regarding exchange of personal data of children in unspecified purpose, integration with third parties such as DigiLocker and EdTech companies, they raise doubts on and their role thereof. Identification of actors who qualify as a data judiciary, data processor, data principal would be required liability fixation standpoint. We need to identify who is the real data taker and we need to fix a liability. This is a very complex task and it is not being undertaken at present. Although the privacy policy of APAR dictates a certain data security, aggregation, third-party integration, retention requirement, sharing personal data of children to unmentioned purpose requires certain protocols that is presently lacking. Both the data policy annual report emphasizes on absence of legal liability in the ministry respect to disclosure or accuracy shared on the UDSI portal. So this data sharing data policy this include legal liability should be fixed. Privacy policy directs grievances received on the grievances of. However, they lack the grievance redressal forum that have come under APAR and UDISC. So that such queries should be taken and then the consent need to be given. They should be processed very technically and carefully. Hopefully, this will further spirit the actors for sharing using remaining personal data of children lawfully and securely. Next article यहाँ पे this is a new push in the Bay of Bengal BIMSTEC. These are the Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation. Recently, several foreign ministers met and then they discussed about BIMSTEC and various aspects. So these are the member country: India, Sri Lanka, here is Bangladesh, Bhutan, Myanmar, Thailand. They all are our neighboring countries, and India obviously aiming towards Viksit Bharat. BIMSTEC in its foreign relation becomes very important, and in its neighborhood also. India hosted second BIMSTEC initiative for foreign ministers in Delhi. This is an informal platform discussed ways and means of cooperating and accelerating action on security, connectivity, trade, investment within the Bay of Bengal. There will be a sixth summit meeting scheduled in September, in which all BIMSTEC leaders will meet in person for first time after the post-pandemic era. After COVID, they haven't met. This is the first time all the leaders of BIMSTEC will be meeting. They are expected to sign BIMSTEC agreement on maritime transport cooperation to improve regional connectivity. The foundational aim of this group. BIMSTEC, as we discussed, is a regional organization devoted to Bay of Bengal with membership to 5 South Asian and 2 Southeast Asian nations. They cooperate across 7 diverse sectors. For India, it helps to engage them multilaterally with other countries of Bay of Bengal region. So they are our eastern neighbors, and it is very vital for our economic development, security, and foreign policy initiative. India also remain solidified relations with the eastern neighbors because China is growing its presence in the Bay of Bengal. It poses potential threat to its region's stability, and India can establish itself as a potential security partner in these waters. Strengthening ties with Bangladesh and Myanmar provides India with huge advantage. It gives landlocked access to northeastern region, and it gives access to sea also. Improved ties with Myanmar and Thailand will also help India to have trade opportunity and its presence in the Indo-Pacific region as it holds the ASEAN, in which these two countries are members. ASEAN में 10 countries होते हैं. ASEAN includes 10 countries. Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So in that, two countries are very important, Myanmar and Thailand. So it gives access to ASEAN also. So it gives India's central vision of Indo-Pacific. Thailand also reinforced this idea by identifying itself as a bridge between BIMSTEC and ASEAN. So India can play a pivotal role. India always maintained its neighborhood first outlook, active policy, security and growth in all the region called Sagar. So these things need to be reflected. These things will be definitely reflected in the ASEAN region and BIMSTEC partners. The meeting basically divided into two parts. In the first first segment, participants all assessed about the current state of cooperation within the BIMSTEC member countries, key outcomes. Multiple ideas were shared by member countries, including establishment of the Center of Excellence in member states, focusing on agriculture, disaster management, maritime transport. India announced support for cancer research, treatment, issuance of e-visas for patients of all BIMSTEC states. Sri Lanka also proposed to include kidney disease. The need for involving private sector in trade and promoting young entrepreneurs is also identified. And it was also importance of connectivity, cyber security, countering the trafficking of narcotic and illegal arms also discussed. If you see through Myanmar, there is a refugee issue there. Myanmar, you might have heard of Rohingyas. Rohingya crisis is happening. So these people are flying. came across Bangladesh and entered into Indian soil. And one more issue is Golden Triangle. We call Golden Triangle Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. During in this region, there is a rampant use of cocaine and drugs. These drugs are entering India through these measures, so it definitely help in trafficking narcotics, and then illegal arms also can be controlled. In the second session, each country underscored their points. They discussed about several opportunities. Bangladesh highlighted a need for cooperation on the blue economy and also to save the fishing during the breeding session. They are using a trawl system, boats with uh, boats with bottom dredging. They draws a lot of fish. So during breeding session, the fish will be damaged. So they deplete our natural resource in the Bay of Bengal. So they are focusing on stopping the fishing, reducing the fishing activity in the breeding season. Bhutan proposed a collaboration in tourism and cultural exchange. Nepal also highlighted a whole of the region approach to leverage the synergies among the member nations and transform BIMSTEC into results-oriented regional forum. Thailand told about cooperation in non-traditional security domains. Myanmar added combat online scamming to the list. These are all the things discussed. For India, apart from the multilateral milestone, bilaterally also many merits have taken. So discuss as we discussed, there is a rampant use of narcotics, illegal arms across Indian borders. Bangladesh foreign minister requested to supply daily essentials and a second technical team to, and our finance foreign minister told send a technical team to discuss on Tista project. So Tista project is West Bengal and Bangladesh water sharing agreement. So it is another step that denotes India's commitment to the foreign affairs. At the end, they discussed about our prime minister. So 3 years. This year marks a decade of India's activist neighborhood first policies, and the importance of BIMSTEC manifestation efforts continue to collaborative growth and national regional well-being. Jaishankar, the foreign minister, encouraged future collaboration through new energies, resources, renewed commitments, and cooperation. It remains to be seen how the forthcoming of the meeting will push forward the region. So next article here, it is related to fiscal federalism. Fiscal federalism basically will discuss about financial matters, but it rarely finds in the Supreme Court judgment. Recently, one Supreme Court judgment with a majority of 8 is to 1 supported state can tax mineral rights and mineral bearing lands is a landmark ruling. It protects the legislative domain of the legislative domain of the state from interference by parliament. For decades, it was believed something. States were denuded, reduced their power to impose any tax on mineral resources. It was thought that central can only tax on mineral resources under Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1957. Though right to tax mineral right is conferred to states under entry 50 of state list under 7th schedule of Indian Constitution, it was subject to any limitations imposed by Parliament by law relating to mineral development. So state couldn't tax that time. The Union government argued the very existence of this 1957 law was a limitation on a state to power tax mineral rights. But the Chief Justice examined the Act provisions and concluded it contained no such limitations. 1957 Act, Mines and Mineral Development and Regulation Act. This act, they told state government you cannot tax. It can be it can be done by central government only. However, now Supreme Court has come up with a judgment that there is no such provisions in this act. So now state can tax. One more thing, the royalty envisaged in this act held to not tax at all. The union was hoping, the central government was hoping royalty was accepted as a tax. It wouldn't allow state and it removes the state scope to tax on mineral rights. Supreme Court use this royalty as a contractual consideration for enjoying the mineral rights. It rules that a state could tax mineral-bearing lands under Entry 49, a general power to tax lands. Proponents of the fiscal federalism autonomy will particularly welcome the fact the judgment opens up significant new taxation avenue for states. Observation in any dilution of taxation powers of state would adversely affect the ability to deliver welfare schemes and services to the people. If you see there is a goods and service tax has been bought, then there is a tax sharing mechanism shared by 15th Finance Commission only 41%. In this budget they have provided only 32%. Last budget they have provided only 32%. So there is a devolution of funds is not happening. The federalism, fiscal federalism is not happening. This move will definitely help the states. One judge, Justice B.V. Nagaratna, she dissented this argument. She told that central law should prevail over state law. So what happens when states are given to tax on mineral rights? They derive they go into unhealthy competition. They draw a lot of minerals and they derive additional revenues, resulting in an uneven, uncoordinated spike in cost of minerals. Mineral cost will increase. Purchase of mineral, they will pay too high. There will be increase in the industrial products and distortion in the industrial development. National market will be exploited. Given these implications, center may find it amend the law and impose limitation on state taxation power to even prohibit them from imposing the taxation on mineral rights. So this activity will leave removing state out of the tax net will definitely, they will remove state from the tax net and it remains to be seen what kind of decision will be taken by the parliament. The next article here, it talks about 7 things that need to be taken care to ensure India's growth story, Viksit Bharat 2047. What are all these things? This article is from Indian Express. So we'll discuss this article. This budget is a fusion of political strategy, coalition, compulsion, and depth moves to accelerate economic growth and realize a ambitious plan of Viksit Bharat 2047. Why it is a smart political strategy? BJP lost many of the state in recent elections, so it is to benefit many of them. The coalition compulsion, basically TDP and JDU parties in Andhra Pradesh and Bihar respectively, they got a huge share in the budget and there is a push to economic growth. Capital expenditure 11.11 trillion crores has been set apart for the capital expenditure and many such moves have been taken. There is a war happening between Russia and Ukraine and Palestine and Israel. This disrupted global chains and led global markets to deal with worst things. Supply chain has been completely fallen. This led growth forecast 3%. However, our growth rate remained at 8.2%. This year, the growth rate may come to 6.5 to 7.2%. We need to maintain the certain strategy to increase the growth rate. Finance Minister promised to peg this fiscal deficit to 4.9% this budget, which is a strong reduction from 5.6% in the last budget. So they are even resolving to bring it 4.5% next year. So this will definitely help in realizing the growth story. However, country is facing a lot of challenges and post 2014 there are many such realities we are facing. COVID-19, global economy going down. So all these things, what is we need to see. So one thing says Prime Minister vision of developed India is not just a dream, it is something doable. That's what other asked. So he did many things. There are a track record. Last 10 years, government performed many things. One thing is, they have got gas connections across the country, food grains freely provided through public distribution system, toilets has been constructed through Swachh Bharat Mission, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, rural and urban. They constructed housing sectors in rural and urban area. This budget also they are aiming to construct 1 crore housing units across India. They supply piped drinking water, road connectivity increased across length and breadth of India. The last year growth rate was 8%. So this year is also need to catch these things. There is a huge challenge of unemployment in the country. What can be done? So what should be done to bring people out of the poverty? Most of the people, 50 to 60% of the people have been brought out of the poverty. Now, whatever the welfare scheme government introduces, it feels them that they are well above that. So these are just freebies. They are not at all accepting. Something great need to be done. Some revamps in the system is needed. One is education and jobs. Economic survey identifies there is a real challenge in which India faces. Recently, we discussed about Karnataka bill in which Karnataka government imposed 50%, 70% reservation in management and non-management quota. However, the bill has been put under aside because of a lot of criticism. So unemployment is a huge issue. To reduce unemployment, country need to create 78.5 lakh jobs annually. Such a huge investment is needed. Whatever presently government has done in the budget is just a patchwork to cover the problems. The real issue is unemployability. People are not being employed. Leaving aside, there are some great institutions. There are organizations that are becoming not to provide employment. They are just providing the degrees. Even if we go to straight run education system, it is completely broken. 2023 annual survey of education states that 14 to 18 children who are aged, they cannot even read class 2 text in their regional language. Such is our education system. Only 43% of the student can solve the problem related to division and sums. There are millions of slots waiting for qualified candidates. India ranked 7th in talent shortage. 81% of the employees reporting difficulty in finding skilled workforce. The skill gap estimated to escalate 2 to 25 lakhs. It's difficult to miss the irony. Million jobs are going while countless remain unemployed. Second thing we need to focus on is India-China trade. We need to focus on our export. Our export remains at 16.67 and our deficit amounts to 100 billion. That means our imports are very high when compared to exports. This problem is identified as a Chinese conundrum. Chinese conundrum. Conundrum means a difficult problem in economic survey. So what happens? We have in India at one front, we are having issues in Doklam Plateau. Even our land border issues, many we are facing with China. The second thing, they are importing a lot of goods into country. They are exporting a lot of goods into country. This will lead to our data privacy and security related issues. Recent days, the bureaucracy system is slowly falling. Bureaucrats at the top level, though they are functioning well, at the bottom level, there is a clear corruption and inefficiency happening. There are recently we found two incidents. One is a NEET controversy. Bureaucracy failed in conducting such a prestigious exam in the country. Paper leaked, and then now patch-up work is happening. The second thing is Pooja Khedkar, one trainee IAS officer. So how she misled investigation committee and then how she got into IAS still it is under investigation. So bureaucracy is strongly it has become red carpet mechanism. It has grown like a babudam. मैं बाबू हूँ मैं कुछ करूँ मैं जो करूँगा वो चलेगा. Such a kind of attitude is prevailing. Such a kind of attitude need to be removed. And then there is a lot of respect for bureaucracy in the country, and it is again reformations are needed. On the judicial reforms fronts, if we take one adage is there, one quote is there: justice delayed is justice denied. If you see across all courts, ranging from Supreme Court's top level court to all the bottom level court, we have 5.1 crore pending cases, even 1,80,000 cases pending for more than 30 years in districts and high courts. You can see volume of the cases. So there is definitely reforms required on judicial fronts. So when cases are happened properly, then only country growth happen. On the agriculture front, last year growth rate was 1.4%. The second estimate is 0.7% only. Because why agriculture is needed? 45.8%, almost 50% of the workforce of India remain on agriculture. It is kind of disguised unemployment. People won't have money, they will be living under poverty. Giving just 5 kg of rice per capita per month to PDS is not enough. We need to reform this sector. Doubling the farmer incomes, we had ambitious targets. Though we have identified MSPs, there is a water shortage, many other issues. Agricultural processing mandis, middleman, there are a lot of crises. So agriculture reformation is required. There are narratives set by players. Foreign players, through their lies, half truths, and twisted facts, by utilizing social media, by utilizing the reels, they are sending the narratives and then they destroying the unity of the country. This was evident during CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act, and during the Formula protest. So these narratives have need to be changed. So the data protection need to be controlled. Our software, data, cloud-based storage mechanism, these things need to be clearly chosen. Recently, you might have heard of Microsoft blue chip of death, blue death screen. Recently, Microsoft met with this thing. So our data, everything lies in USA. Cloud storage data need to be seen. Data protection, digital bill. This DPDP Act focuses on this thing, but there is a still vagaries of data remains to be seen. One is another area where we need to focus is power outage. During our independence, we have 16 units per capita electricity consumption. Now today it remains to be 1327 units by March 2023. But India's transmission and distribution losses are very high when compared to global standards because of corruption is happening. There is a power theft is happening, and inefficient handling of the infrastructure. Enormous investment is unproductively locked in the generator sets and inverters. For India to become developed country, this must also change. So these are all the measures. These are all not just the measures. There are several measures are there. These need to be taken. So thank you very much for the discussion.